Hey, friend, Church D coming at you once again. Thank you for tuning in to What Does It Take to Win? And Happy New Year. I know it's the end of July and we're just now saying Happy New Year. I apologize for that. So much has been going on here in 2020. It's just been a crazy ride. I hope everybody's safe. We're in the middle of a pandemic. It's like something we've never seen before. Well, at least in my lifetime, but I think we're all making it. And so I just pray everybody's safe. I have a few announcements, however, to let you guys in on since the last time you heard from me. I recently entered a new decade of life. So I celebrated a birthday back in October, and I'm blessed to be alive and healthy and strong at a time like this and to still be able to go out and do things I dreamed of doing as a child. So I'm forever grateful for that. I released some new music in the spring and at the beginning of summer as well. So back in the spring, I released a project called The Vision. It's a single. It features an awesome saxophonist by the name of Leah Basic from Jacksonville, Florida. And I'm on there. It has like a nice jazz vibe to it. It's a little futuristic, some really cool sounds in there, some nice solos. So once you get a chance, check that out. It's called The Vision, and it's available on every digital outlet: Apple Music, Spotify, Amazon Music, Deezer, YouTube, etc. Wherever you listen to your music, you can go ahead and check it out. You can stream it if you want, or if you want me to collect my coins, wink, wink, you can go ahead and just hit the download button. You can purchase it. If you click on my website in the bio or just search Church D, you should be able to find it on Google and all of my other music. Also, I put out 6 more songs, a full EP by the name of The Big Reveal, and that was released on June 29th, 2020. We had a nice little giveaway. Somebody received some funds via Cash App, and it was a nice little project. It was excellent. I'm getting a lot of great reviews on The Big Reveal, so I'd like to share that with you as well. So once you get a chance, check out The Vision, the single, and The Big Reveal. So that's in total 7 new songs that have been released for your ears and your ears only. Okay. All right, so let's go ahead and dive right into this podcast. I won't keep you too long. The title for this podcast is Time Out. Okay. And yep, you guessed it. We're going to be dealing with the importance of time. Time's very important. I've come up with 3 points that I had to deal with in my own life on the road to success and achieving my goals and just doing things that I knew I was called to do. Time is very important. So the first point would be to never rush anything. The second point is that time is actually your best friend. I know. I was like, best friend? What? No way. It is, though. And the final point I'll be covering is time management and the feelings of being overwhelmed. Okay? So let's dive right in. Let's start with not rushing anything. Okay, so this can be very difficult to do if you're impatient and if you're looking around and you see all of your peers, all of your friends. They seem to be elevating and doing things that you would like to be doing and things you know you're more than capable and overqualified to do. It can be tough. You start questioning yourself. You start questioning things like, hey, why is it not my time yet? Why is this not happening? But I got news for you. When it's your time, nobody can step in and mess that up. Okay? Hear me and hear me clearly. When it's your time, it's going to happen for you and it's going to be so perfect. So what I could say in regards to that is just allow things to happen organically. And I think that's the best word I can use to describe it. Just let it happen organically. You don't have to force it. You don't have to rush it. It's going to just happen. And if it's meant to be, it will be. I'm still fairly young. I'm starting to get up there in age. I'm in a new decade. But over the course of my life, I've seen it with my own eyes and I've experienced it. Things that are meant to be always happen. There's literally no forces that could stop it. No force, none whatsoever. Okay. A next sub point in regards to this is that you can actually ruin a good thing by rushing it. Now let's think of gardening or planting different things. Or like, let's say, for example, I recently planted some garlic. And when you start planting garlic, you cut off the end of it and you put it in a cup of water, and it will start sprouting. You'll see like a green sprout coming out of the piece of garlic. You're like, oh, that's pretty cool. So you leave it in the water. Now, if you want that garlic to grow, you don't take it out the water and say, hey, garlic, hurry up and grow. We need to speed this up. Like, I want garlic now so I can start cooking. No, that's not the way it works. You leave it in that water, and eventually you'll see some little roots start sprouting. Like, oh, that's pretty cool. They look like little tentacles. You leave it in there for about, I think it was a week or a week and a half, and the roots begin to grow even longer. Once these roots grow longer, you then move it into the soil that it's going to remain in so it can actually flourish. Now, when you put it into the soil, you'll see it'll continue to sprout, but the green parts that are sprouting and the roots that are buried, the green parts that are sprouting will begin to die off. And that sort of put like a bad taste in my mouth. I was like, oh no, why is my garlic dying? I'm not going to have anything to cook with. But when I looked it up, it said that's supposed to happen. Some of the sprouts will die off and it's going to look like it's not going to survive, but then it's going to begin to really grow and flourish. And within about, I think it was 6 months, the garlic, you'll see like new bulbs of garlic coming through. And so I think this is month number 2 or 3, and my garlic is flourishing. It's really like it's growing out of the ground. So I'm thinking about moving it into a bigger pot. I don't know. I think I can leave it there. It's big enough, right? But I digress. So yeah, you can ruin a good thing by rushing it. Now, if I wanted to say, hey, garlic, hurry up and grow, and I take it out the soil and try to rush it to grow, it's just going to end up dying, and I'm not going to have garlic to cook with. Same thing goes for relationships. Say, you're entering into a business relationship with somebody, and, you two just met, and you're thinking, okay, well, this person can really help me. They're somewhat of a destiny helper for you. So you begin to behave in a very aggressive manner, and that could turn them off. They might be like, okay, pump the brakes. Let's slow things down. Let's not rush this. Let's let it happen. Let's get to know one another and see if it even makes sense to do business together. And that goes for romantic relationships as well. Sometimes we get so caught up with feeling good around one another that we forget, okay, we are both individuals. We're not sure what makes one another tick. So we need to give it some time and, just get to know one another. Often when individuals come together, we put our best foot forward. So what you're seeing isn't always what you get, which is why you got to take your time with people when it comes to relationships, whether it's business, romantic, just cordial, coworkers, etc. You take your time. Don't rush things. It's going to happen organically. It'll be perfectly fine. Another thing you can't rush, and this is crucial, this is very important, because during this climate, mental health is like booming. A lot of people are said to be going through depression just for being on lockdown during this pandemic. So another thing you can't force, okay, take out your pens and papers. The suspense begins. Drum roll. You can't force somebody to heal. You can't force your own healing. You can't force a physical wound to heal, okay? That takes time. Here's an example. I broke a finger when I was in high school playing basketball. And because of that, I was unable to play basketball during that season. It was like a town league or preseason basketball where I broke the finger. And I was eager to play basketball that season. I was like, man, look, this finger is fine. It's just going to heal up and I'll be good to go. Like, okay, finger, hurry up and heal. That wasn't the case. I had to sit out the whole season. I went to the doctor and they reset it, which was the most painful experience ever. I was wide awake when they did that, but that's another story. And they were like, yeah, you're going to heal it pretty quickly, but you can't rush it. Don't rush your healing. Don't force it. So just take your time and let it set. I had to have my whole hand in a cast for a little bit, and then eventually it transitioned over to being in a splint. And, it healed up pretty nicely. It's still a little crooked if you look at it, but because I didn't rush it, I didn't try to jump out there and play basketball with a broken finger. It was able to heal nicely, and now I'm still able to play piano and play other instruments. So like when I'm touring and doing music professionally, I think back like, man, if I had rushed my finger to heal, I probably wouldn't be able to do music at this high skill level. So that's one example. Another example could be like, let's say, with a trauma that somebody experienced, and you're just kind of rushing them or forcing them to get over it. That's unhealthy. That's not good. That won't be good for you or the individual. Let's say you guys are in a relationship of some sort, whether it's business, romantic, church, work, music, etc., whatever the case may be. If they experience the trauma, let's say somebody did them wrong in business and now they don't trust people who make a certain amount of money. And you happen to be one of those people who make a certain amount of money. And you're like, oh, okay, yeah, well, you can hurry up and get over this and you can just trust me. They're going to be a bit apprehensive. You know, you have to let them see who you are first as an individual, get to know you, let them heal from that previous experience, and then I'm pretty sure they're going to open up to you. Matter of fact, I know they'll open up to you, and you'll gain, even more of their trust. Okay? So don't forget it. Don't rush anything. Let things happen organically. You can ruin a good thing by rushing it, and you can't rush somebody to heal. Okay. So let's move on to my next point, and that is that time is your best friend. I know, isn't that kind of crazy? When I was growing up, especially in school, time wasn't my best friend because I'd always be late to school, and it wasn't crazy late. It was just like 5 minutes late, just enough to not get perfect attendance. I'd be late to school, and then I felt like those days would drag by. Like, okay, are we done yet? Like, time would fly by in the morning when you're rushing to get there, but as soon as you get there, those days would drag by. 1 hour felt like 4 hours. But yeah, time is your best friend if you use it correctly. Okay. And so a lot of times people say time waits for no one, but in actuality, that's because we don't manage our time correctly. We create scenarios and situations that actually rob us of our time. So in this day and age, in this climate, what's the number one thing that's going to rob you of your time? Social media, the internet, goofing off. I might be guilty of goofing off, but that's another story. But yeah, social media could definitely rob you of your time. People spend hours just surfing, scrolling on Facebook or Instagram or Twitter, etc. Any of these platforms can rob you of your time, and it'll cause you to not use your time wisely and be counterproductive. If we spend too much time procrastinating, we'll end up losing motivation and you'll see a major decline in productivity. So try to stray away from wasting your time and, just being on social media, etc. Just doing things that are counterproductive. Okay. Another point that I wanted to bring up is that time reveals a person's true character. So I touched upon this a little bit with my other point, talking about the importance of time and like not rushing anything. So time reveals a person's true character. If you hang around a person long enough, that mask that they have on will eventually come off, and the true person behind the mask will be revealed. So you'll get to know about all the things that bother them. You'll get to know how they react in certain situations. Even their loyalty will be tested and how loyal they are to you. Like, it'll be crazy depending on the situation. So yeah, their true character will be revealed. Their true intentions will be revealed. Sometimes people say one thing, but their intentions suggest something completely different. They might say, oh yeah, we're going to be best of friends and I'm going to always be there for you. And then down the road, as time reveals their true intentions and their true character, you'll see that, oh, well, maybe they weren't necessarily there for me, but they were there for what they could get from me. And that's very uncomfortable to have to deal with, because it's like, okay, well, do we go out and meet new people? Do we interact with these individuals? Are they really there for us, or are they there for what they can get from us? So yeah, it raises more red flags. I don't want you guys to have red flags anytime you're embarking on a new journey or relationships with people, but just sort of take your time, pay attention. Don't ignore the red flags if you see any. Here's a freebie. The number one red flag is if somebody is uncomfortable with you taking your time. That's how you know you might want to take a step back and reevaluate. Maybe even have a conversation with that individual. If they don't want to have a conversation, you have, guess what, red flag number two. It's not like that in every situation, but you just want to be clear with people's intentions and what works for the both of you guys. And finally, in regards to time, it produces the best products and services. If you take your time, if I take my time and I'm not rushed to produce somebody's album in under 2 months, like a 10-song album, you're going to get the best album. If they say, hey, you know what? We're not going to put a timestamp on this. You just take your time out and you work on this album. Guess what? You're going to get like high level, high quality production from me. And that goes for anything too. For example, certain foods that you cook, you can't just put it together and in 10 minutes it's going to be tasting amazing. No, that's not the way it works. Let's look at oxtails. How many of you guys like oxtails? All right, you couldn't just put that in a pot with some water and some of your favorite seasonings and say, okay, these oxtails are going to be cooked in 20 minutes. Nope, because once you take them oxtails out the pot, it is tough as leather. You need to give it time to cook. It has to cook slowly, stew down until it's falling off the bone. I am starting to get hungry. Let me stop right here. But yeah, you take your time with your product and your service, and it's going to work out. It's going to be best quality. Now, as I say, products and services, I'm not talking about like wait services. Like if you're at a restaurant and you're a waiter or waitress, you don't want to take your time because people like want you to do things quickly. No, but yeah, like if your service is to provide like, I don't know, piano lessons, you want to take your time to fully develop your course and make sure it's as accurate as possible and it's done flawlessly. Okay. And let's move on to my third and final point: time management and overwhelming feelings. Okay. So I believe time management and self management, they're most important. And why I say that is because if you want to complete a project, if you want to complete a task, if you are an entrepreneur and you're not able to manage your time or manage yourself, it's very likely that you would fail. And failure hurts. It can lead to a bunch of things, depression, etc. So you don't want to do that. So my advice for time management, just keep it simple. That's rule number one. That's tip number one. Keep it simple. Carefully plan out your days and your projects. We tend to overthink these days because we're like, okay, what if this happens? What if that happens? Sometimes we don't give things enough thought. We just jump into it, and that too is very dangerous. But I found that if you carefully take out some time, and it doesn't have to be hours at a time, it doesn't have to be weeks, months, years, etc. It'd be great if it was that long. But we don't always have that time because we live in such a fast-paced society. But if you take out some time to carefully plan out your next move, you'll see that the results are going to be much better. They'll improve by like 150%. And set dates, set goals for when you want to complete your next move. And it doesn't have to be, okay, by this year, I'm going to do this. Like, what does everybody do these days? Oh, so people in my generation, they say, okay, at this age, I'm going to be engaged. At that age, I'm going to be married with X amount of kids. It doesn't always work like that, people. You want to set many goals and say, okay, I don't know what example I could give. Okay, we'll stick with the dating and the romantic stuff. Okay, on this date, I'm going to date this person, and if it works out, then we move on together. Like, keep it simple. You don't have to say, all right, I'm going to date this person, and they need to have this, that, and that, or else this is no. And it might be a good person that you're missing out on that's still growing. You never know. Let me get out of this relationship stuff because, yeah, just set mini goals, things that are easily attainable. I know when I do production, I do the same thing. Like, I'll say, okay, I'll have 5 days in the week. Monday and Tuesday, maybe I'll work on the composition part of things. So I'll just hear melodies and put together different percussive loops. Wednesday, I might start tracking things out. Thursday, I might start mixing. Friday, I'm going to play it back and see where I made any mistakes. Those are small goals. I'll get through the song that way. So I'm constantly perfecting it and polishing it up. That way I'm not overwhelmed trying to complete a song, mix it and master it in one day. It's pretty well, it's not impossible, but it's very draining and very stressful, and it's a lot of pressure to put on one person, unless you're working like with a major super producer team. Not all of us are fortunate enough to do that, but you know, I digress. So yeah, set your goals that are easily attainable. And finally, don't stress if everything isn't done all at once and if it's not done quickly. Remember, Rome wasn't built in a day. In fact, I've actually been to Rome recently, but that's another story. Yeah, Rome wasn't built in a day. You know, you can just chip away at certain things and you'll find out that you'll complete it a lot faster than you expected. Recently, I was taking another course and I found out I was the first person within the group to complete it. And that took me back. I was like, oh, no way. I wasn't even thinking about it. My whole goal, my mindset with completing that course was more so like, okay, I'm just going to set aside maybe like an hour and a half each day. And it was self-paced. Set aside like an hour and a half each day and just chip away at the course. If I made mistakes, that's fine. I can just go back and try again. And I did it. I completed it. I have a new certification and I'm feeling pretty blessed. So if I can do it, I'm sure you can too. So let's just give a quick recap on the importance of time. Number one, the first point was to never rush anything. Allow it all to happen organically. Point number two, time is actually your best friend. It can be your worst enemy if you're not using it correctly, but time is your best friend. It reveals people's true character, their intentions, and it produces the best products and services. And finally, time management and overwhelming feelings. You have to carefully plan out your time, set many goals that you can easily attain, and don't stress everything. Don't stress if everything isn't done. Remember, Rome wasn't built in a day. You're going to get through this and you're going to produce the best products and services. Thank you for all of your time today. Thanks for tuning in to this podcast. I hope it blessed you. I hope it encouraged you. I hope it inspired you. Hey, if you like it, be sure to click the share button and subscribe to my YouTube channel. You can find me on YouTube at Church D. Check out my website. I'll put the link in the description below. And until next time, thanks for tuning in, friends.